Okay, we're going live now. So what does it say in Zoom? Does it say we're live? It says we're preparing. It always goes ahead. So here we are live on Facebook. So welcome everyone. Thank you to those that join us, to those that watch us on replay. This is another weekly wellbeing feature. So this week I'm delighted to introduce you to Bridgette Mansfield, hypnotherapist. We're going to be discussing all things hypnotherapy. I'm going to hand you over to Bridgette to introduce herself briefly in a moment. But if you do have any questions and you are watching live, put them in the comments. I'll do my best to keep checking in with them. Otherwise, hashtag them with replay and we'll get back to you and answer them later on if you watch them at another time. So hi, Bridgette. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Lucy. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure. So I'm a hypnotherapist and a hypnobirthing teacher. I've been practicing for 14 years, I think now.
Wow.
And so I help people with fears and phobias and stopping smoking, unwanted habits. And as I said, I'm a hypnobirthing teacher as well. Well, the reason I got into hypnosis is when I became pregnant with my first child, which was 17 years ago now. I know. Obviously, I was really delighted. But then I thought, oh no, it's got to come out down there. There's no way that's happening. And I thought, well, I'll have a cesarean. I won't tell anyone. There's no way I can get the baby out of there. And so I thought that's what I'm going to do. I went through my pregnancy, had a nice time. And then I thought to myself, well, actually, my mum had always said to me that giving birth was the most amazing thing ever. So I thought, actually, I'm going to believe what my mum says this time. And so I went into my labour attitude. Anyway, I ended up having a wonderful time giving birth. I had a water birth with both of my boys and I absolutely loved it, which some people might think is quite weird. And so I thought, if I can do this, anyone can do it. I don't know what I did to be able to, to experience that. Anyway, I then read about hypnobirthing and I'd never heard about it before. And as I was reading it, I thought that's exactly what I did when I was giving birth without even realising that I was doing it. So I thought, if I can do it, anyone can. So I trained as a hypnotherapist first and then specialised in hypnobirthing.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I wish you had been a qualified hypnobirthing specialist when I gave birth, because my experience was very, very different from that. And I know a lot of women who have had some quite traumatic experiences, and almost to the point where we don't really talk about them. We're just to kind of nod to each other as we know what we went through, but it's okay because the child is here now and we can move on. But how lovely to be able to make it something that's pleasurable, because I got that's so polar opposites to how my experience was. I'm really keen, if you're all right with this, to kind of dispel some myths around hypnosis, because in the 80s, I know, and Paul McKenna getting people to cluck like chickens and all of that kind of stuff, I'm sure it actually made people a little bit fearful of what would happen if they, someone says, oh, I tell you what you need some hypnotherapy. People are like, no, because they could do anything to me while I'm under, and it could be this really scary thing. And, people may be concerned that that's what happens. So if I can hand that one back to you, because I know you'll be able to clarify that.
Well, firstly, you can't be made to do anything that you don't want to do. So I often get women phoning me and saying, oh, can I put my husband in to stop him smoking or drinking or gambling? And I say, sorry, he needs to phone because it's got to be something that he wants to do, not because you want him to do it. So for a start, you can't be made to do anything that you don't want to do. You know, hypnosis is a very natural state that we go in and out of every day without even realizing. It's nothing new, it's nothing weird, it's just a form of deep relaxation where your conscious is bypassed so that you're more open to suggestion. You know, you can't get stuck in hypnosis. So if you were relaxing in my lovely comfy chair and my smoke alarm went off, you'd open your eyes, get up and walk out. You know, everyone over the age of about 5 who can follow instructions and wants to be hypnotized is hypnotizable. Have you got any questions about hypnosis?
No, I mean, I was going to say, obviously, I've experienced it on several occasions, and you know, when my son was really scared of having his injections, God, it hate me discussing him. I always do. He's going to find footage in years to come of me sharing all his private things. But you know, obviously, one session, and he walked into that injection and came home and went, oh, it's fine, you know, like nothing. Whereas I mean, John and I'll stitch Tom here up as well. When we'd taken them for injections a few years earlier before going away, they were both in separate rooms screaming. I mean, it was ridiculous. This little like 4-year-old came out like all fine, and our 11-year-old boys were like, eh. So I know from his experience that it's not kind of a dangerous thing, that I would let my children happily go there, because I'd had my own experience. And in my experience of it, I was aware of everything that you were saying. There was this sense that I couldn't be bothered to sort of move or whatever, real deep relaxation. But it was, I wasn't somewhere else. I wasn't in some other altered state. Like you say, it's just feeling deeply relaxed. And my, you know, this is pre-mindfulness days as well. So at that point, you know, I had kind of various issues with anxiety and other things, and one of them was audition nerves. and I remember having this audition and just being petrified. I think because the previous one, I'd looked down at my hand in the middle of trying to perform, and it was like a claw of tension, and I just didn't have any sort of strategies to try and ease that. So I'm waffling now, but I think it's important to know that I've been on the receiving end of this, which is why I'm really happy to have you here. And obviously, you know, with mindfulness, and I know you've been to tasters of mine, and we've discussed kind of how the brain works at length, and nothing that either of us says or does is opposed to each other. We're both completely kind of aligned in how it works. I think the question that I have is how, with mindfulness, you know, you're training your brain, and with certain habits over and over again, you know, it's like a long lasting effect. But with hypnotherapy, some results can happen super speedily, can't they? Like smoking cessation, for example.
Yeah, so smoking cessation is just one session. It lasts approximately 90 minutes. And like needle phobia, as you were talking about earlier, that can either be 1 or maybe 2 sessions if, you know, if there's any underlying issues that need to be dealt with as well. Like fear of flying, that's usually 1 or 2 sessions. It really depends on the person as to how many sessions are needed. You know, some people come back time and time again just because they love the feeling, and or they've got something else that they want to sort out. Other people, they'll just come for once, done, and off they go, you know. So it depends really on the person and what you're coming for hypnosis for.
Yeah, and I know I've recommended a number of people to you for smoking cessation, and a huge success there. I mean, I spoke to someone, I think, do you remember when Bridgette came to my work probably about 10 years ago now, and picked up a few clients there who came to see her privately. And I spoke to one of them after, obviously I've been left a number of years, and I spoke to the one recently, and he and his now wife had come, and he was still like, oh, I still remember, you know, how brilliant it was, and we're still not smoking, and it's kind of the best thing we ever did. And I think, you know, if you, with something like smoking, where often people really don't want to, do they, you know, they're really kind of sick of it, and we know the dangers and the smell and, you know, everything else, that liberation from being able to shift something like that in 90 minutes is just amazing.
Yeah, it is. Well, obviously, I think it's amazing because and that's why I do it. But you know, with other things that, you know, not including stopping smoking, I teach people self hypnosis so that they can use those techniques and adapt them to other things in their life. So they're tools that can be used forever and passed on to their children, etc. Like, you know, I do treat a lot of children for all sorts of different things. And children are actually really, really susceptible to hypnosis. And they're often treated a lot faster than us adults who have ingrained.
Deep-seated.
Actually, the thing is, with smoking, it really doesn't matter how long you've smoked for, how many cigarettes you smoke. It makes no difference to the outcome of the success rate. No.
I think the difference seems to be people's will, like you say, that intention to really want to give up. I know someone that they didn't come to you, someone else that I used to work with, who sort of had this "I bet I can beat it" attitude, and so walked out, pulled out a packet of cigarettes and lit up a cigarette, which of course they're going to beat it in that respect, aren't they? Because their intention was almost like it's not going to work, and they didn't really want to give up. Like their wife or whatever had said to them, "You need to stop smoking," and they said, "All right, I'll try it."
Yeah,
But
whereas
that's really
again, it's
interesting, that mindset shift, isn't it?
it's this case of you can't be made to do something you don't want to do. You know, you've definitely got to have that side of it. And the thing is, but we don't rely on willpower in hypnosis. What we do is we boost your motivation to achieve your goal.
So I think that's what I'm really interested in, sort of explaining here, is kind of how is it working? What's happening as we're going into that relaxing state? Again, I'm going to hand back to you.
Okay, so the way that I get them into hypnosis, you mean?
Well, no, even more, like you said about the
Or I allow
motivation.
them
Like,
to go into hypnosis.
yeah, but even more when you said about the motivation, what's sort of happening to the brain? How is it opening up to receive these suggestions or whatever? Do you know what I
Whilst in
mean?
hypnosis, you mean?
Yeah. How does it work?
Well, the thing is because you're in a relaxed state, you are more open to suggestion. You know, if you think we are hypnotized all day, every day without even realizing, you know, with advertising, with things that are on the news, it's all, even if we're not listening, it's still going into our subconscious. Also with, you said with mindfulness, it's repetitive. You need to keep repeating and repeating. And that is how we learn, going back to when we were learning our times tables, we had to repeat it. And then now someone can say, like, what's 9 times 7? Quick, Lucy.
Oh no, don't put me on the spot. Why would you choose a difficult one? I've forgotten them. My brain is menopause brain. I can't retract information like that. If you now said 7 8s, that was like a sum that my parents always used to go 7 8s 56, like always. That's a repeated habit. So
yeah. So yeah, I don't know what else to say there.
but is it's about talking to the subconscious rather than this sort of day-to-day conscious mind, right?
The conscious part of the mind is the part of you that wants to make the change, i.e. to stop smoking, or to overcome your fear of flying, for example. Unfortunately, the conscious part of your mind is not the part that's in control, because if it was, well, there'd be no need for coming for hypnosis, because you wouldn't be scared of flying and you wouldn't be smoking. You would just stop.
Yeah, same with mindfulness. No one would need anything, would they? Because they just sort themselves out, and it wouldn't be that. Yeah.
I mean, also the thing is with the conscious mind, it actually doesn't come into effect until after around the age of about 5, because anything that you ever told, saw, or heard before the age of about 5, you automatically accept to be true. So say someone said to you, Lucy, when you were little, "Oh, Lucy's really out of tune when she sings. Bless her, she's never going to be a singer." You'd probably go on for your life not being able to sing, which obviously happened to me because I could sing. But obviously, because the thing is, whatever we tell our children under the age of 5, they believe it to be true.
I can sense the guilty mums out there now suddenly going, oh, imagine I said something, and that's that's the first thought that pops into my head. It's interesting, isn't it? Because also, lots of people say to me, oh, can you do some mindfulness with my 4-year-old or 5-year-old? And it's like they don't need it. It's not till 7 or 8 really that the sort of that inner critic comes in, where it starts thinking about, oh, I shouldn't have done that yesterday, or next week I might do this. Before that, everyone, as humans, we're just really in the moment, really present anyway. But I suppose that's because we haven't got those executive functions kind of being developed in the neocortex. It's all that extra human brain stuff, isn't it? They're almost like baby chimps or something up until
Yeah.
that age, without that extra layer.
Well, the thing is, I suppose you can liken your conscious and subconscious to a boss and an employee. So the employee being the conscious part of your mind, and if that part wants to make a change, it's got to go down to the boss to ask for permission. And if the boss is going, no, 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 that change won't take place.
I love that
That's
analogy.
why the subconscious has to make that. No, the conscious makes the choice to change, but the subconscious gives the permission to make that change possible.
I like that
Otherwise,
analogy
we
a lot.
go back to our subconscious is there to protect us. So if you are a smoker, for example, now when you first started smoking, most smokers start when they're teenagers, don't they? And the reasons that they start smoking is because they think they look cool, want to look older, or want to fit in with their friends.
And that bit of your brain that has a kind of consequence and things like that doesn't really fully develop till you're like
No,
21, which is why you make
yeah,
really stupid decisions in your teens. You have to let them off the hook a little bit because it's not their
absolutely.
fault.
Absolutely. But so when teenagers first start smoking, it has a positive intention. They want to look cool, they want to fit in with their friends, they want to look older. But when they're still smoking, when they're, you know 30, 40, 50, 60, they're not smoking anymore because they want to look cool or fit in with their friends or look older. It's just become a habit.
And it is actually making them look older in a funny way. Not funny, ha ha,
Not
but
but not that they want
ironic,
to.
in
Yeah.
an ironic way. Yeah, that's really, yeah. So that's really interesting. So the sort of the boss goes, yeah, we like this because it's reinforcing something that's believed to be a good thing, and then
Yeah.
it's such a habit that it's ingrained that it's almost impossible to just unpick with that same employee
Yeah.
brain.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the same with, when you learn how to write as a child, you first of all, you have to really concentrate on learning how to form those letters. And then you have to concentrate on being able to form a word and then a sentence. So you're using the conscious part of your mind when you're learning to do that. Once you've learned that, it then becomes a habit and then it's subconscious. So you can then be having a conversation or listening to your teacher or your lecturer, and you're writing at the same time because you now write unconsciously.
So that's that brilliant model of the moving from unconscious incompetence. Do you know those 4 stages of learning? So unconscious incompetence, where you have no idea. I always use like driving as the example. Don't know what you're doing, don't know how you're going to do it. Then you know what you're supposed to do, but you still can't do it. It's kind of conscious incompetence. Then at test stage, mirror signal maneuver, know what I'm doing, but really still thinking about it, conscious competence. And then 30 years later, we're in unconscious competence, where we don't even have to think about this giant metal killing machine that we're driving around and thinking about our shopping and what's happening next Thursday and everything else. It's actually quite scary in that respect,
Well,
isn't it?
that's why, sometimes you can drive somewhere that you drive to on a regular basis, and like a 20-minute journey felt like 5 minutes, and you think, I don't even remember how I got here. That
Exactly.
is a form of hypnosis. So it's where your conscious is off thinking about all the things that you need to do that day, whilst your unconscious has driven you to your destination safely.
Okay, right. So it's the same place that actually, interestingly, mindfulness is kind of bringing you out from that default mode network, where you end up going into kind of thinking and planning and whatever else on a sort of unconscious way. It's just happening naturally, where habits are formed and stored. But if those habits are unhelpful, yeah, you talk to that part of the brain then, as in the hypnotherapy session directly, rather than having to kind of pull it out into dealing with what's
We
happening
go
here.
to the we go into
You
the
go into that deeper. Yeah.
and give, you know, instructions and suggestions to make that change.
So what would someone expect then? They're coming to you, they have, let's say, a phobia, or they really want to give up smoking, something like that. And they, you know, book an appointment with you. What would they expect as they come into that appointment and kind of
Okay.
the session, and, you know, to allay those fears if people are sort of worried about what might occur?
Yeah. So as we know, because of COVID, I haven't had clients coming to me. We've been doing it virtually. So it's a slightly different virtually as to when they come here. But as of Monday just gone, I've had people coming here, which has been great. So if you're coming to see me, first of all, I've had forms that I would need people to fill out, and then we have a little chat. The person tells me what it is that they want to achieve. Then I explain to them a little bit about how the mind works, and then we do the hypnosis. And then subsequent sessions are mainly just the hypnosis.
And the hypnosis consists of sitting in a chair,
Oh yeah, you're sitting.
closing eyes and listening to you.
Yeah. I've got a really lovely comfort chair. Everyone loves it and wants to take it home with them.
I verify that.
And yeah, you're just literally sitting there, relaxing, listening to my voice or not listening to my voice. You don't have to take any notice of me because your subconscious is taking it all in. You know, you don't have to be completely still. You know, you can be in hypnosis whilst riding a horse. You know, hypnosis is emotional relaxation. So your mind doesn't have to be empty. You don't have to be completely still, because it's just a form of relaxation.
Yeah, brilliant. And so for hypnobirthing, it's slightly different though, isn't it? That would
So
be,
yeah,
so
so
it's more of a course, isn't it?
yeah, so hypnobirthing is a course. It's approximately sort of 10 hours, and it's spread over different amount of sessions depending on whether you're having it privately or if you're in a group course. Group courses are pretty small. They're normally sort of 4 couples, so you come along with your partner or your birthing partner.
Yeah.
For people that don't know what hypnobirthing is, by the way, it's for pregnant women who want to experience a more positive birth experience. It's not about only having a natural birth with no pain relief. It's not about that at all.
That's really important to point out,
yeah,
isn't it? It's
yeah,
about,
really
you know, even if
important.
you do have to have a C-section or something like
Yeah,
that, it's the
absolutely.
way in which you would approach that, having some tools to not go like into panic
Yes,
mode or
yeah.
whatever, keeping yourself in a state of calmness.
And also, so it's when you're pregnant that you're actually looking forward to the birthing experience, whether that's a cesarean or a natural birth, because you don't want to spend 9 months being fearful of that, because obviously what you're going to get at the end is a beautiful, wonderful baby. So, you know, and you're only going to birth that baby once, so you want to make it the best experience possible. So it's about you know, you get a workbook, you get a lot of MP3s. We watch videos of women giving birth, and they're beautiful videos. I mean, they're incredible. Obviously, you get, if you're in a group class, you get to meet new friends who are in the same situation as you. Again, also you can have private classes, and depending on where you are, I can come to your home, you can come to me. It's very versatile.
And so if you were doing a group course, for example, it would be a local venue, would it? Or
Be
something?
in my home.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, that's nice. That doesn't have that sort of
Yeah,
kind of clinical feel. That
very
feels
homely
quite
feel.
homely. Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, I've still got, I can see all my mindfulness clients now, I can feel a sense of if only pulling me back into my past, like, oh, you know, because I got really scared. It was really scary. And I, you know, 16 years ago, I didn't practice mindfulness. I didn't have any tools in my locker to kind of help me through that. And I wish I had, you know, but obviously we let that go now.
Well, that's it. That's the whole thing, is that, you know, that is the past. You
Yeah.
can't change the past, but
No.
you can change how you feel about it.
Exactly. I'd like to say, and I've got this amazing son who's just so lovely to me all the time. No, he actually is being quite pleasant this week. We're on a good week. I know there's a lot of people out there with teenagers. So there are a number of people watching. I keep looking down just
Hi,
because
everyone.
we've got some people with us. We've had a number of people. Does anyone have any questions? Please do pop them in the chat, because I think it's really useful if you do have any questions about it, that Bridgette has the opportunity to answer that. And whether that happens now or afterwards, we can come back to that anyway. So that's not a problem. I'm waffling now to see if anyone's writing, because there's a delay on Facebook and it always takes a few more minutes afterwards. So is there anything else before we head off that you think this is a key thing people should know about hypnotherapy, or this is why they should be willing to give it a go?
I think, unfortunately, the word hypnosis, hypnotherapy, it really does change some people's perception of what it actually is, because of what you said earlier about the, you know, TikTok. You know, it isn't like that at all. It should be called something else. But obviously, for me, I find it very successful. It's helped me in lots of different things. I use my techniques all the time. And the thing is, with my techniques, they're really quick, they're really simple, and that is why they work, because for this, you know, for the getting rid of fears and phobias in the moment, and they can't deal with it, that is what works.
It's amazing. And I've seen some wonderful testimonials from some of your clients. You know, your success rate is fantastic. And how people benefit from it. It is, I think, a problem for many of us in these kind of things, where a word like hypnotherapy gets used in the wrong context. It's like mindfulness. The amount of things I get fed on my feed that are mindful related, you know, they've got the word mindful at the front, that aren't what I would consider to be mindfulness. There's something else about, you know, paying attention to what you're doing, but it, you know, there's all this other stuff, and you think, yeah, it's not quite what we mean. So I completely empathize with that whole sense of it gets a kind of either a bad rap or misunderstood. And actually, that's why I'm really glad you came on to talk today, because I think it's really great to be able to dispel some of those myths and to meet you and see you're not sort of weird with a cloak and a top hat or something, and a wristwatch. No, not a wristwatch. What are they called? Pocket watch. Yeah. Oh, it's been so lovely talking to you.
Thanks for having me on.
That's okay. Bridgette and I have known each other a long time, and it's interesting that we've both moved from similar worlds of corporate advertising, kind of stressful, horrible bosses, you know, into worlds where our joy comes from helping people, and it's lovely. It's
a very
really
rewarding job,
isn't it?
Lucky.
Super lucky. So yeah, if anyone, where can people find you? That's the key thing.
Oh, okay. So my website is www.123relax.co.uk. You could email me on Bridgette at 123relax.co.uk.
You've got a
Facebook page. I'm not great on my Facebook page, I have to say. I'm actually not great on social media.
But the emailing is probably the easiest thing anyway.
Emailing or phoning
I'll
me.
phone you on I was going to say, on the website, your phone number's on there anyway. If anybody wants your number, you happy for me to give that out if they're interested in coming to see you?
And if anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask me. But thanks for having me on, Lucy. It's been fun.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's lovely to chat to you. And thanks again. And because this is your week now, in the weekly wellness, you know, if there's stuff that you want to post in, any particular events you've coming up, you know, please feel free. I haven't blocked that, so you can just post some stuff or your website or anything?
That goes back to me being really bad on social media.
I know, but now I'm here
I need to
offering you
I
the
need a
opportunity.
I need a hypnotherapist to help me to get over my fear
Fear
of
of
social media.
Yeah, to be honest though, when you start using social media for work, the love of social media does wane a little bit, and I find myself just wanting to take myself off it for periods at a time. But I'm sure we all feel like that. But no, even if it's just the website or your contact details, you know, feel free to. And if there's any kind of tips or anything throughout the week you think would be useful, please do share in.
Will do.
Brilliant. Well, so lots of people have liked it, but no comments. So I'm going to stop the Facebook feed now, and we'll say goodbye.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Lucy. See you then.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.